All right, welcome to episode 17 of Asset Creators. Today, we're going to be talking about why every solopreneur needs a value asset. So, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you kind of know already how much I'm talking about assets. If you don't, today is going to be, really clear on what a value asset is, why you need one, and why you also just need to be creating assets in your solo business if you're looking to, gain more leverage, have better positioning, attract clients to you instead of chasing clients, and all of those things. And today, specifically with the value asset, this is going to be really pivotal for you when it comes to magnetizing leads to you, getting more leads, stopping chasing people, stop cold pitching, cold outreach, all of those things. So it's going to be really important. And if you're stuck right now doing a lot of cold outreach, chasing people, hurting your positioning and all of those things, this is going to be really, really valuable and important episode for you. So with that being said, we're going to get right into today's episode. So of course, if we're going to be talking about value assets, we got to start with what is a value asset, okay? So another familiar term you've probably heard is a lead magnet. So essentially what a value asset is it's a piece of, it's a marketing media, right? A marketing piece that you are going to give away for free to potential clients in exchange for their contact information. So the whole point of this, which we're going to get into, right, is to lead with value, okay? Show them you're an expert, help them solve problems, things like that, in exchange for getting their email or getting their phone number, their name, all of those types of things, so you can, of course, market to them consistently afterwards, sell them into your core offer, and just nurture them, right? Build relationships, build trust over time with them. So that's going to be the whole goal with this value asset. Now, some examples are 3-day challenge. So this was actually my best performing one. It doesn't have to be 3 days. It could be 7 days, 5 days. I just found 3 days was really good. 7 days, a lot of people start to drop off and don't complete it. 3 days is like a good chunk of time, like for people to complete it and stay enrolled in it. Now, this one was my best performing one so far to date. And I actually launched this back in 2023, and it got me my first 1,000 email subscribers in less than a year. And essentially it was a 3-day writing challenge. And so people would just join it, and over 3 days, I would show them, my writing process, my system. And by the end of it, they would have a week's worth of content written using my system, and people just loved it. But other things you could do would be like a workshop, right? So people sign up and you do a free workshop where you solve a problem they have, things like that. Or a mini course, right? So you could drip out a course over a couple of days, or they could get the whole course at once and work through it, whatever. Or like a quiz. This is one I'm running right now. It's an assessment, and it's actually doing really well so far. And so those are just some ideas for you of what a value asset would be. But just remember, these are solving a problem, they're giving value, and they're doing those things in exchange for their contact information, right? So why would you want to do this, right? Well, it's the best way to collect leads and warm those leads by giving away value up front, like we already talked about, without cold pitching. This is going to be something so important. And I honestly cannot stress this enough. I'll die on this hill. I have done cold outreach in the past, okay? I'm not going to sit here, pretend I haven't. I've experimented with it. I've done cold email, cold DMs, all of those types of things. I've done it all. And it is just the lowest form of prospecting, the lowest form of marketing, okay? It's damaging to your positioning, okay? It makes you have to chase them. It ruins the relationship in terms of the dynamic. You don't have the power, all of these things. We could do I've already done an episode on it. I should probably do more. That's how strongly I feel about cold outreach, okay? So this way, people are coming to you, right? You're not pitching them. You're actually leading, and you have a value asset that they join. So they come to you, right? And it's crucial for your ability to build trust and relationships faster so you can sign more clients. So this is what I mean. If you lead with this valuable asset, okay, and it's something that genuinely is valuable, okay, well, you're going to build relationships and trust with them. Of course, obviously, you're going to build trust from the simple fact that you just solved the problem for them. You've shown your expertise, right? But you also get to build relationships, because what happens when they sign up to your email list is ideally you're going to be emailing them throughout the week, whatever. And so now you're actually building your relationship with them too. They're becoming more familiar with you and all of those things that are really important, right, when it comes to marketing and selling. And like I already mentioned, they come to you. So even if I were to send you a DM, if we were chatting for a little bit, I'm like, hey, like I created this thing. I think it'd be really valuable for you. I think you'd get a lot from this. Technically, you are still choosing, do I want to sign up for this or not? So you're still coming to me, even if I'm showing you, hey, I have this thing. I'm not forcing you to sign up. And now you're coming to me because ideally, when you join, there'd be an email automation and things like that would sell you into my core offer. But notice how you're not cold anymore. You consumed something from me that has led with value, and now you trust me more. You have a little bit stronger of a relationship with me and all of these things. So you're warmer by the time you get to my core offer. And that's what's so important about this. And honestly, I really wish I did this sooner and I took this more seriously sooner in my journey, because this is the game changer. If you want to stop cold prospecting, cold outreach, chasing clients, this is the way. It's a value asset. So that's what it is. Now, here's what running a solo business without one kind of looks like. So unfortunately, like I already mentioned, I used to do cold outreach, and I'm just going to be really honest here about my journey. And so hopefully it'll show you why you should not be doing this. Okay. So I used to try and get my clients straight through LinkedIn into a sales call and then close them. Okay. Now it doesn't sound on the surface like a really bad process, right? It doesn't sound terrible. And it worked, right? I did sign clients this way. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and say cold outreach doesn't work like at all. I'm not saying that. But it's just, it doesn't work at the volume I wanted, right? Because most of them were cold. And for reasons I've already mentioned, the positioning, how it damages your positioning, your authority, all of those things. Because people are going to think, wow, if this person's so good and they're so in demand, why are they cold pitching me, right? So I used to do that. And when I say this, I'm talking like I would literally connect and pitch people. And then I would also try, to connect, qualify them. So ask them like qualifying questions. And then if they seemed like a good fit, I would push for a call. But, people can smell that a mile away. I mean, these tactics really worked, 10 years ago, even probably 5 years ago, early 2020, 2021, 2018, right? You could probably just connect and pitch. But nowadays, everybody is doing it. There are 100 other people in their inbox trying to pitch them right now. So anyways, I used to do that, okay? A lot of them were cold, kind of damaged the positioning, all of those things. But it also left out a huge segment of the market who wasn't quite ready to buy or needed to be nurtured more. So what I mean by this is, if you're looking at any market, there's so much data coming out now about how much of a market is ready to buy at any given point. Typically, it's 3 to 5% of any market is actually looking actively to buy something, right? So that means 95% of the market isn't quite ready to buy. It doesn't mean they won't. And so me connecting, pitching, trying to get these cold prospects into a sales call with me was leaving out a huge segment of the market, because if they're like, hey, no, well, instead of just losing them, right, I needed a way to still get them into my world where I could nurture and build those things. But also for all the people who aren't ready to buy, I could just DM them and say, hey, I have this thing. Like, do you want to, do you need help with this? And it's just a whole different way, because now I'm targeting the other 95%, the actual large part of the market, because sales cycles are very long, typically longer than you would think, because not all those people who aren't ready to buy, they might be ready in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, right? And you don't want to lose those people either. So I was leaving those people out because I was just only looking for the people who are ready to buy now, right? And so those people who came cold from those DMs, they weren't warmed up enough on me, my ideas, my methodology, philosophy. And like I said, me in capitals, because, people at the end of the day, they buy from people. So they want to trust you. They want to know you, the person they're paying their money to. And so, if I just connected with you and you haven't seen any of my content on assets, you don't know anything about assets, you don't know anything about my philosophy around anything of my methodologies at all, okay? Well, why would you be sold on it? You don't even know me. I'm a stranger, right? Well, having this value asset, of course, is going to shift you away from that. And the value asset itself is going to, ideally, if done right, educate you on my methodology, my philosophy, my ideas, and me, okay? So it wasn't until I added a value asset that everyone showed up to the calls was already sold that I could help them. And it was just about objection handling and closing from there. So, once I added this value asset and then I just made an offer at the end of it, all of a sudden, now the people who came to the calls were like, okay, I know Darian can help me. He's proven that, right, through this value asset. I like him. Not everyone's going to like you through, I'm not saying everyone, but if they're booking a call, clearly, after going through my asset, they probably like me. They have a bit of a relationship. They understand, like, they like the way I approach, my philosophy and my methodology around whatever I'm selling, okay? So now they're coming to the call already knowing these things, okay? So that's when the call becomes more about, objection handling and just being, okay, it could be around money, it could be around time, it could be around questions they have around my philosophy, whatever, right? And so now it's a lot easier of a sale versus somebody who's cold, right? And now if you're watching this and you do cold outreach and you have a process, like, I understand somebody who books a call, you can send them a video to watch, you can, send them to a VSL that, like, I get it, but still it's not going to be the same as leading with something like this and solving a problem for them. And then the final point here, excuse me, is that now the selling shifts from them selling themselves to you. So ideally, when this is done right, you get to position yourself in the authority, right? The premium position that we were talking about earlier. Like, hey, you already know what I do. Like, why should I choose you? Why should I choose you as a client? Versus when you pitch someone cold, you're pretty much selling them like why they should choose you, right? You're flipping it. And that's what's so important here. You can see there's a little bonus here too, is it also collects those leads into your owned asset where you can nurture the relationship and trust further over time. Like I mentioned, once you get them onto your email list, right? Once they're on your email list, even if they're not ready to buy, you can continue to email them, nurture them, build relationships, put out offers, all of those things. So that's what running a solo business without one was like for me. And it wasn't until I switched into this value asset that now people were coming to the calls, already sold on me, my philosophy, everything, right? And then the calls became way easier. And that's what's so important here to understand is the shift from chasing, magnetizing, people coming to you, and the positioning that comes along with that. Also, you get those leads to further nurture through your email list or your owned asset, whatever your owned asset is. Is it a free community, a membership site, whatever? Wherever you're like bringing all your leads off social media to a place that you own, you get to nurture them further. And then finally, just some mistakes to avoid when you're creating this value asset. Because I already gave you some examples. By now, you should pretty much understand why this is so important, how it's going to change how you market your solo business. There's just some mistakes to avoid when creating it. So avoid making one that sucks. I know it sounds very obvious. Some of these are going to sound obvious, but I'm telling you, like, do not go into ChatGPT and say, hey, put together a free PDF that would be good for doctors. Like, and it puts together this like really crappy little PDF, okay? Just don't do that. Because once again, you're actually going to do the opposite of what we're trying to do. You might get their lead information, right? You might get their email or whatever, but you're not going to build trust. Because imagine if they're like, holy crap, they gave me this thing and it sucks and it's not good. Do you think that's going to build authority? Do you think that's going to help your relationship with them, your trust? No. Right? So I know it sounds obvious, but like, don't cheap out on this. Don't be afraid of giving away a bunch of value. Like, you want to be valuable. It's called a value asset. You want to be valuable. You want to help them. You want to solve a problem. Okay. Another one, mistake is making no offer at the end. So ideally, you have an offer at the end, right? Now, they're not as cold anymore. They've seen you. I didn't add this in here, but something that I just like a pro tip is to whatever you do with your value asset, be on video, okay? Nothing builds more trust and more familiarity and all of the things we're talking about than being on video, right? You want them to hear your voice, see your face, see the way you move, all of those things. Because when they see you on video versus you just sending them a PDF, the trust goes through the roof and all of those things, okay? So that's just a little side note. But make that offer at the end because now they've seen you on video, they trust you, all of these things that we just talked about. And so now making an offer, they're not cold anymore. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say they're the hottest leads in the world consuming one value asset from you, but it's better than connecting and pitching with them. I can guarantee you that. And it's done right in your, let's say your value asset is only takes them 2 days to consume, 3 days. You're adding just a little bit of extra time to get a sale potentially, right? It's not like you're making it an extra year now, right? It's just be patient is what I'm saying. Be patient. So make sure you make an offer at the end, okay? Next one, not gathering their contact info. I know this sounds obvious, but even I made this mistake. I made a value asset, and what I was doing was I was DMing it to people, but in my mind, I was like, well, if there's like a sign up, I'm going to get less people. And so I decided to do no sign up, which was in hindsight not very smart because once again, we're trying to get them into our own asset where we can, nurture them over time further. And so there was no way for me to put them into an email automation and all of those things. So make sure you get their contact info, okay? Not putting them into an email automation at the end. So this is important because not every single person who goes through your value asset is going to buy the offer at the end, right? Especially if they're cold from the beginning. Like what I mean by that is there might be somebody who's been following you on social media for, let's say, 6 months. So they're not cold. And so you start DMing them because they're engaging with your content and they sign up for your value asset. Well, that person, right, is already going to be a little bit warmer. So that person might be more likely to buy that offer at the end of the value asset. But somebody who like you just connected with and then you're putting them into this value asset and they're cold still, making an offer that quick might not help or might not finalize that sale. So if you can do an email automation at the end, which is, of course, out of the scope of this episode, but, you can nurture them over, let's say, a week or depending how long you want to make your automation, where, you start to sell them on your story and how you discovered your methodology and your philosophy. Like you start like actually teaching them more about you and why your way is the best, your method is the best and all of these things over time after they go through the value asset. And then you make an offer at the end of this, they're going to be more likely to join. So you make sure everyone who joins your list, you have some sort of like indoctrination on your philosophies, your methodologies and stuff like that, and your story, your hero's journey. And then finally, having no quick win, right? So whatever the value asset is, there needs to be like a win with it, right? So for example, like I said, the top performing one I had, which was my 3-day challenge, right? This one, I think part of the reason that it performed so well was because it got them a quick win. At the very end of the 3 weeks, they were able to have a whole week of content written. They could see it. They could visually see it. Like, also, I added a cool little bonus there is everyone who went through it could send it to me, just share their Notion thing with me, and I would give them, feedback on the content they wrote. So, but what I'm saying here is within 3 days, boom, they have written a week of content. That is a quick win. 3 days, holy crap, Darian just helped me do this. Like that's what you want them to think of you. You want them to associate you with getting results, getting wins, okay? Really important. So that's pretty much it for today. I really wanted to cover this. I think this is really important. Of course, for all the reasons I mentioned in this video, it absolutely 100% with no over exaggeration changed the way that I approach marketing my solo business. I mean, it changed not just the way I marketed it, but my ability to, hit my first 6 figures, to make money, sign clients, and all of those things that we're all obviously trying to do. So really important to understand that you need one of these if you're going to be marketing yourself online. There's no way around it. This is a non-negotiable. And so thanks for being here. And I'm really happy to share this with you so you can avoid some of the mistakes that I made and get this in your business as soon as possible. And with that being said, that's it for episode 17, and I will see you in the next episode.